In today's news, Me BVI coloring book officially launched in the British Virgin Islands.
BVI makes travel plus leisure top 25 islands list, and as promised yesterday, U.S. ICE targets international students. All this and more when 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting. For people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, July 8, 2020. We're coming to you straight out of Nature's Little Secrets in the British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenisha Forbes. Yet another edition of 284 News. It is hump day, Ron, so
Yeah,
we're going
almost over that hump.
over the hump. But as you said, Nature's Little Secret. Now, today, the Travel and Leisure, that publication, they published their top 25 islands in the Caribbean, the Bermuda, and the Bahamas. Now, every year, Travel plus Leisure publications, they ask their readers to weigh in on travel experiences, and readers rated islands according to their activities and sites, natural attractions and beaches, food, friendliness, and overall value. Now, of course, this year with the coronavirus, Ron,
Yes.
there have not been much traveling, but the World's Best Awards survey closed on March 2nd, just before the widespread stay-at-home order was implemented. So the results reflected the readers' experience before the pandemic, but we do hope that this year's honorees, basically that persons would take note of the islands on this list, and maybe when borders open back, they can go and visit. Now, do we think the BVI is on this list, Ron?
It better be.
Well, the BVI is not on this list, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
There we
Now,
go.
let's take a look at this list. Here's the list, Ron, and the top 25 islands in. So we have Anguilla coming in first, then the Abaco Islands in the Bahamas coming in second. Well, that's a great win.
Yes, for the
after
Bahamas.
all they have been through. Then in third is Harbor Islands in the Bahamas. So the Bahamas is up there twice in a row, but there we are at fourth, Virgin Gorda, there in the British Virgin Islands. We love to see it. Then we have fifth, St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands, so right across the waters from us. Then you can see closely there, we have St. Vincent, and the Grenadines coming in sixth. Then we have there at seventh is Aruba, and then 8, we have the Bahamas once again. Well, Ron, they have an advantage where they have many keys.
Of course.
So they're going to be there a few times. But there at 9th, there we are, British Virgin Islands. Once again, Josephine Dyke coming in 9th for the British Virgin Islands. Then at 10, we have St. Bart's. Yeah, so great stuff. Yeah, so then 11, there is Puerto Rico. So right across, our neighbors coming in at 11. Then 12, once again, the Bahamas. And 13 over there in Turks and Caicos. Definitely amazing stuff. 14, we have Puerto Rico once again. Just amazing stuff, Ron. Then at 15, we have Bermuda. Overall, the entire list is 25 islands.
Awesome.
16, we have Nevis. Yeah, so 17, we have St. Lucia, beautiful St. Lucia over there at 17. 18, we have St. Croix over in the U.S. Virgin Islands, okay? Just awesome, awesome stuff. 19, we see there where we have Barbados. Kind of surprised that Barbados is 19th on the list, but I guess the readers have spoken. 20th, we have Cayman Islands, and just a lot going on. Beautiful beaches here in the Caribbean in general, but of course it was more than just our beaches. And 21, we have Antigua and Barbuda. 22, we have Jamaica. Awesome, awesome stuff. I definitely love it. And then we have 23 with St. Martin being tied for the 23rd spot. They're actually tied with us here in the British Virgin Islands, here in Tortola. But what I found interesting, Tortola is a bit down there. It's still amazing that we made the list 3 times, but the Tortola is our capital. So we're not known as much for our beaches as Virgin Gorda is known for that. And then 25, we have Bonaire. So definitely an interesting list, although we are going through the coronavirus pandemic. We see that persons still consider, and traveling is still fresh on persons' minds.
Well, Kyla, I have to tell you a story, and I hope my wonderful parents, Dr. and Mrs. Grant, are not watching this, but I loved Virgin Gorda so much as a youth, and I still do as an adult. But when I was in high school, I didn't care too much for school. So when I was feeling a little froggy, I would take some little rendezvous, and I would skip school and go over to Virgin Gorda and spend like the half a day on the bats and just, you know, cool out and have myself a great time. So I can see why the bats is top 3.
Ron, regular persons when playing hooky at school, you probably just go down the road to your favorite place.
Yes,
you hopped on a boat.
But if I go down the road, they're going to say, but Grant, what are you doing? You ain't supposed to be in school. But if I go to Virgin Gorda, they're not going to know who I am. So I can see why Virgin Gorda is
I do understand.
Yes.
We all love Virgin Gorda.
Absolutely,
Although we do reside here in the Tortola, I know Virgin Gorda has a special place in my heart as well. I definitely love Virgin Gorda, so we do understand.
I turned out okay. So,
you turned out pretty okay, yes.
Continuing on the local scene, construction works have commenced on the additional 3rd lane project in the traffic enhancement and improvement program in the Rotown area following the signing of a contract on June 29th. Now, Minister of Transportation Works and Utilities, the Honorable Kai Reimer, said the project, which begins on July 7th, is being undertaken by contractors Accurate Construction and, of course, Mr. Jason Fonseca, and will have a duration of approximately 10 weeks. Now, Honorable Reimer said, and I quote, works will commence in the vicinity of the waterfront taxi stand and traffic light at the intersection of Administration and Waterfront Drive. He said, and I quote, the works will include the removal and replacement of the existing sidewalks, construction of pedestrian-friendly sidewalks, construction of a new lane heading westward, a bus lay-by to facilitate the picking up of persons heading west, drainage improvement, of course, along with the entire project and asphalt overlay. Now, this project follows Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andre Foy's remarks that the government of the Virgin Islands is ongoing in its economic response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which includes putting measures in place to address the traffic congestion in the capital city of Rotown. The public is advised that as a result of the works, there will be limited parking at the Rotown Jetty Terminal, a lot across from Pusser's Restaurant in Rotown, and caution should be exercised while traversing this area. The government of the Virgin Islands is now in phase 2 of the ongoing economic response. We've already seen works begun. We're happy to see that the traffic congestion is somewhat going to be relayed. Of course, persons who may have usually parked across from the Pusser's Restaurant in Rotown, even though it might be a little bit of a stretch, they are advised that, of course, the festival grounds is the new central parking for Rotown in hopes that the congestion will be alleviated. I must say, Kyla, I'm happy to see that works will be continuing on, but I'm a little bit confused, to be honest, as it pertains to roadworks being put in place as an economic stimulus plan? And I know we've spoken about this before, but I'm not sure how.
How does this tie into?
Yeah, sidewalks, construction, pedestrian-friendly sidewalks, construction of a new lane.
And this is something that the government have been speaking about even before COVID-19.
Yeah, so don't put it in a stimulus package.
So I definitely agree, and I definitely understand when how you're a bit confused how this is including in our stimulus package. But what I will say, Ron, I think thus far with the transformation of the capital and the traffic route, I think we have seen some when it comes to traffic congestion, we have seen where it has been working. So we're definitely happy for that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, with the Roadtown Jetty, that was one of the prime spots for parking because we don't have much parking in the Roadtown area. But of course, they are trying the ride along. So that might actually encourage persons to actually to be a part and try this service. So we'll love to see it.
And I do agree that the traffic congestion and the capital, the city in general, should have been looked at. So I'm happy to see that being given some attention. The Honorable Kairama has been pushing for that. So definitely happy to see that we're getting somewhere with that.
Most definitely.
Now, continuing on, we have so much more when it comes to the redevelopment, a host of virtual workshops for healthcare professionals, and a word from our sponsors. All this and more.
I love you, Penny. Run, Forrest, run! Fire! Get on, move it. Man, I'm sick of being in this house. I just want to go to the beach for all good just one day and gather to the garden. I'm sick of being in this house.
Having withdrawals from being stuck in the house for so long? Are you tired of looking at your old photos and daydreaming about your next vacation? Well, BVI Staycation is back and there's so much to choose from. For more information on upcoming deals, follow us on Facebook at BVI Staycation. Get ready, BVI, for an adventure in paradise. It's time to vacation where we live.
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Now, healthcare professionals across the territory of the Virgin Islands will be engaged in a series of virtual workshops as they continue their professional development. The Office of Chief of Drugs and Pharmaceutical Services in the Ministry of Health and Social Development will be hosting the fourth session in the months of July, August, September, and October in collaboration with the BVI Nursing Council, the Medical and Dental Council, and of course, Allied Health Professionals Council. Former head of the unit and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Pharmaceutical Procurement Services, Mr. Francis Burnett, will be facilitating the following sessions. The Successful Leader, July 9th at 7 p.m., Effective Presentation Skills, August 13th at 7 p.m., Business Writing Communication Skills, September 10th at 7 p.m. Now, Unveiling Pain Management, October 8th at 7 p.m. Certificates of attendance will continue for the professional development, and continuing medical education credits will be awarded. Now, health professionals are asked to email G. Wheatley, that's Gracia Wheatley Smith at gov.vg. That email is gr.wheatley Smith at gov.vg, or call her at 468-9850 to register for workshops. The Ministry of Health and Social Development aims to provide leadership that promotes health, social well-being, and a safe environment and positive resources for sustainable development. We have to applaud Kyla, Mrs. Gracia Wheatley Smith, for all the work that they continue to do. As persons look at agencies such as the BVI Health Services Authority, and particularly now in a time of COVID-19, oftentimes the Minister of Health or the permanent secretaries usually get the blunt of the praise. But I must commend a lot of our public servants, our civil servants, who work hand in hand. And to be frankly honest, they make a lot of our ministers look really good because of the hard work that they do. And Mrs. Wheatley Smith is one of those persons, along with many others. And I'm happy to see that the Ministry of Health is continuing with their professional development, because it is needed. All of us need professional development continuously, and we hope persons would continue to support and, of course, tune into these very important sessions.
Most Definitely. As we move on, now Ron, it is graduation season here in the BVI. Now, artist Aaron Parlon, but persons may better know him as the Jedi. Now, he released a new single in celebration of all graduates, especially the class of 2020. So let's take a watch.
They celebrating. When I was down on my knees, look how they celebrated. Jugal held me like his own, so I elevated. Brent got your boy prayed up, now I'm levitated. Hands high with a smile because you graduated. Throw your caps in the air because you graduated. Post pics with your friends because you graduated. We gon' party tonight. Go on about the bar because you graduated. Bust a Kanye dance because you graduated. Go on and testify because you graduated. We gon' party tonight. It's so damn hard to get a job when your name ain't good and gotta deal with your landlord. Got evicted like Mike and his dogs. Now your name's on the blogs, got you faded in the fog. I ain't lodging, but you gotta give your best up. Live and die with your chest up, even when you done messed up. Learn you gotta fess up, kneel and get blessed up. Shower and get dressed up, start your day at the best cup. 4 years at a community college, so you work part-time and pay community homage.
Interesting song there from the Jedi, but he's just celebrating all graduates. And really and truly, Ron, yes, we are in unprecedented times, but I really think that our students deserve to be celebrated. But of course, we have to make sure that it is done in a safe manner. Now, amidst COVID-19, our territory has adjusted their approach, and for the next month, we will be celebrating the class of 2020. Premier and Minister of Finance, Honorable Andrew Foy, has said that the number of mass gatherings, including graduations, has been increased to one person per 64 square feet, up to a maximum of 100 people. Therefore, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Agriculture has announced the schedule for graduation and exit ceremonies for public and private schools here in the territory. Graduation and exit ceremonies for Elmore Stout High School and Altair Scatliff Primary School will be streamed virtually only, which is understandable because those are one of our biggest schools here in the BVI. Graduation and exit ceremonies for Brigado Flax Educational Center Secondary will be hosted virtually at the Catholic Community Center. But viewers, please note that due to the COVID-19 health and safety protocols, graduations and exit ceremonies are by invitation only. The cooperation of the public on this matter is greatly appreciated. Now, for further details on graduation, parents and guardians should contact their child's school to just make sure and understand what the protocols are. But if viewers, you are interested in accessing the schedule for the graduations, you can access that on our 284media.com website or on the government's website at bvi.gov.vg.
Kyla, there's a quote that's been I've been hearing a lot. It's what a time to be alive, but what a time to be graduating. I'm sure many of our students who are excelling and transitioning into adulthood are probably scared, and just wondering what's the next move.
Next?
But you should be pleased. You should be honored to be alive and well, and still able to receive a diploma in such a very difficult time that's going on globally. But you'll be okay.
Because Ron, really and truly, we know and we knew when we were graduating, you were thinking about the next step. That's a part of graduating from that one step in your life and moving to the next. Even for our primary school students, they're not sure if they'll be putting on their uniforms and going to camp, or they'll be staying at home and doing it virtually. Or college students, you're not sure if you'll be going away to school or will you have to do classes online. And for persons who are finishing up their education for right now, maybe a bachelor's program, going out to work right now, it's like, so it's definitely scary. So we definitely want to celebrate our graduates and let them know that, hey, you're alive and it will be okay.
And please don't sweat it. You'll be just fine. You'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely. Now, viewers, still ahead, Color Me BVI coloring book officially launched right here in the British Virgin Islands, and you definitely want to hear all about this. This is 284 News, and we will be right back.
In the final analysis, we have two options: stay inside and create memories that will last forever, or go outside and say goodbye to those memories. We're not stuck inside, we're safer inside. The time is now to unite, embrace, and love each other from a distance. Show the world and the people in it just how much they mean to you by keeping your distance. It may be difficult, but necessary. Let's reintroduce humanity and heart to all homes. While we can't enjoy the sun, sand, and sea, let's take this time to remember why we are nature's little secrets. Stay inside, and when it's over, we would all be better, stronger, and we would all still be together. With self-discipline and patience, we can overcome. We are, have been, and will always be BI Strong. A message from your team at 284 Media. Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. In a day and age where the preservation of history, heritage, and culture are a rare commodity, one Virgin Islander has found a creative way of keeping Virgin Islands history and heritage alive. Gabrielle Skelton Bardot, also known as Gabby, not only channels creativity for adults and children, but showcases key features of the British Virgin Islands. Everything about this series is uniquely BVI. Its content, to its illustration, to the use of territorial colors, red, blue, white, yellow, and green. Now, the coloring book series was created to preserve Virgin Islands history, heritage, culture, and I was so honored, Kyla, to have been able to sit down with the author, Mrs. Gabrielle Skelton Bardot, and of course, Mrs. Bernadine Louis, Director of Virgin Islands Studies at the H. Lovely Stout Community College, for an exclusive interview earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look.
First, I would like to say thank you for having me here on the show. The reason that I came up with this concept is that I'm a proud BVI Islander, and I wanted to do something for my country. And I wanted it to be able to do things with children, where adults and children could interact and get to learn more about the BVI and the culture and the heritage and the history of the BVI. So I sat down and tried to figure out what would be able to get those two groups together, adults and children. And for me, I like coloring, I like drawing, and from a child and on all the way up to an adult. And I decided, okay, I think I'll try a coloring book that will specifically be about our history, our culture, and our BVI.
Phenomenal. Now, I know a lot of adults love coloring as well, so this book not only caters to children, but adults. Tell me a little bit about the time frame and how long did the project take before we got the copies, which I'm so proud to have a personal copy right here in front of me. How long did that project take?
I started in 2018 in getting my ideas together in terms of the images and the locations and where or how I would like to start. I started doing research, which I went on the internet to search, okay, how do you start your own coloring book? And getting those ideas and putting them together. And I started getting that information, but I run into a little hiccup because now I needed an illustrator to get my ideas together, and I didn't want any person to just illustrate. I wanted somebody that can somehow get the ideas that I had in my head onto paper.
Right.
And it's very hard for people to know what you want because you just give them an idea. They might, pencil this. They could give you 3 different perspectives, and it might not be the idea. So I started asking persons if they know any illustrators that would be able to help me with this project. And I started out with the first image, which is the Zoe image, which is the Zoe costume, and she's patterned off of the turtle dove.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is not the full interview. You can view the full interview on our Facebook page at Tweet for Media earlier today, which will be aired at 5:30 p.m. But Carla, I have never been more proud of our generation for being so insightful and creative. One of the things that we've struggled with here in the British Virgin Islands is passing on the traditions of heritage and culture in a creative way that don't come across as boring, that don't come across as jarring. And here you have a young professional who has creatively done that. Believe it or not, coloring is not just for children. I know a lot of adults who love to color. But the beautiful thing about this book, Kyla, is it's thick. It has information that some of us did not even know of. Things that go on before you and I's time. So you're learning. It's not just that you're coloring. You are learning solid information about Virgin Islands culture, and I commend Miss Gabby Skelton for her remarkable work, and of course Mrs. Bernadine Louis from the H. Lavely Style Community College for giving her input and making sure that the history was there. But viewers, you have to purchase this book. It's only $20. I know many of you have purchased, you've spent more on a lot of things that are not useful, but it is a great, useful tool if you have kids, family, and friends. You really learn a lot. It's a remarkable piece of work.
I've seen the book today, Ron, and as you said, amazing, very thick, full of knowledge.
And the story is just beginning. That's just book one, which focuses on Central Tortola. She is focusing later on East End. That's her next spot. So that's where you come in.
That's my capital.
Yeah, and one of the beautiful things is that she really channels the struggle of Virgin Islanders in their quest to learn and to persevere and to not have people put them down. So. Yeah.
I think this is a great example, as you said, to find a creative way to put forth our history and our heritage, especially to our children, to teach them where they have come from. So even if you buy this, when you do buy this book for your child, make sure you sit down with them and read and really identify the different pictures and where it came from, and the history is definitely an amazing, I wouldn't even call it just a coloring book, but an activity book.
It's a history book,
It's
a solid
definitely
history book.
solid. But as we move on to our last story of the day, now Ron, reports by CNN have stated that international students who are pursuing degrees in the United States will have to leave the country or risk deportation if their universities switch to online-only courses. Now, this is something that universities have been doing amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. They haven't had any other choice than to switch to online course. Now, this was announced by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is known as ICE. Now, the move may affect thousands of foreign students who come to the United States to attend universities or participate in training programs, as well as non-academic or vocational studies. Universities nationwide are beginning to make the decision to transition to online courses as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. As I said just now, at many universities, for example, all course instruction will be delivered online, including for students living on campus. For international students, that opened the door to them having to leave the U.S. Now, in the news release, which was released on Monday, I said that students who fall under a certain visa may not take a full online course load and remain in the United States, adding that the U.S. Department of State will not issue visas to students enrolled in schools and or programs that are fully online for the fall semester, nor will U.S. Customs and Border Protection permit these students to enter the United States. The guidelines for international student enrollment for the upcoming fall semester of 2020 gives 3 options: all in-person course delivery, all online course delivery, or a hybrid course delivery. Now, each of these options outline different conditions for international students. I suggest that students currently enrolled in the U.S. consider other measures like transferring to schools which have full in-person instructions. There's an exemption for universities using a hybrid model such as a mix of online and in-person classes. Visa requirements for students have always been very strict, and coming to the U.S. to take online only courses has been permitted even before the coronavirus. Now, the Trump administration has made now a litany of changes to the U.S. immigration system, citing the coronavirus pandemic, that have resulted in barring immigrants from coming to the country. This announcement, like the changes that preceded it, could simply and similarly result in many foreign students who often pay high tuitions to have to return to their home country, Ron. Now, this story affects many students, especially BVI students who travel to the U.S. for school. Of course, it is not students' fault that their schools absolutely had to transfer to online courses, but the U.S. government doesn't necessarily care.
Yeah, they don't seem to care. And as you say, this is something that we definitely have to look and pay close attention to, because a lot of our students traverse and study in the United States, and now essentially that process may have to be restarted. So we wish them the best, but it's definitely a bit daunting when you think about it.
Most definitely. But viewers, that is it for today's news roundup. I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We, of course, will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a beautiful evening.